Okay, this is the last block here between Walnut and Elm. And again, we've got the raised median introduced there. Beyond that, you go back to the center tunnel. And again, this is where the wider sidewalks are. You've got the raised median. There's a heavy pedestrian activity in these blocks, so it's really safe.
And again, that raised median offers opportunities for landscaping and other things. So if we can, before Ethan talks, do you mind, Ethan? And now that we have those slides, why don't we go ahead and ask some questions, unless everybody wants to hear about landscaping and the trees. Then we can ask Ethan to cover. We can go back to the slides either way, but a lot of people have some fresh things on their mind.
Yeah, I have a question.
The railroad crossing is open. That was the last slide. So let's go back to the previous slide. So this is the next one. This is the railroad right here. It's open there, but then right about here at station 90 is when the median starts. And that will be a raised median that continues for those 2 blocks past Walnut, and then you'll take a left at the next intersection.
Has there been an impact study on the streets where you're going to funnel all the traffic to for the signals? So if an emergency vehicle needs to get through and they can't cross over, say, Oak Street now it's a raised median, you're going to have all this traffic stuck on the side streets as the traffic lights. Has there been any kind of impact study on that?
No.
And then second, have you worked with TXDot on the widening, with the city of Tomball on the widening of the sidewalks? Because if you're going to widen, you're going to send all that traffic through 2920 through downtown Tomball, how are you going to widen sidewalks when it's already narrow enough?
Yeah.
And lastly, last question. So downtown Houston, when they're doing the remodeling of the streets and everything, killed all the businesses. Is the city of Tomball prepared to help the small businesses that are suffering from COVID during this construction time when they're going to lose all that traffic and all the business?
Going on 1962.
Those were questions.
So I will tell you, I can speak to 1960 because I actually did that study.
I'm just talking about Tomball. Because it killed all the other businesses in 1960. It killed the businesses in downtown Houston for a long time. Small business owners are still recovering from COVID. And now you're talking about killing these businesses. So what's the city going to do to help?
So let me just say again, from the 1960 experience, we worked with the chamber very closely there. I did that study. I was at TXDot when we did the implementation. 1960 is one of those roadways we went back and did that evaluation of phase 1 implementation. Our project, the raised median project along 1960, actually was a success. It was a success in terms of mobility and safety, as well as economic viability in that area. There was...
with all due respect, 1960 is not a small community.
Yeah,
it's not apples to apples.
But, well, and I know, but somebody brought up 1960 as an example, so I just wanted to talk about that and say we did improve mobility, we did improve safety, and the tax receipts in the area stayed the same or went up.
Okay,
so,
but with Tomball, how many projects have y'all done that's apples to apples to Tomball? Because the only thing I can think of is downtown Houston, and that's a massive
well, again, you can't
business
compare
area.
Downtown Houston.
Right, and look what it did to downtown Houston. It crushed it. So many people lost their business. So if you don't want to compare, if you don't want to compare,
COVID.
right, but if you don't want to compare it to another city, then
so let's. I know there's a lot of other people that have questions, so.
No, I like questions. We all want to know who's answering. Every businessman in Tomball wants to hear that answer.
All right, well, let her answer the question.
It wasn't to her, it was to you.
All right, go ahead.
Talk about 1960.
So, and real quick, I can say, again, I think we presented here today, one of the things that we're very concerned about is the economic, viability of this area and the continued growth of this area. That's why we're putting these supporting improvements to that.
So are there grants available for the city business owners?
I'm sorry?
Are there going to be grants provided by the state and by the city of Tomball to help these business owners win their
As
business?
TXDot, I can't answer that question.
Who can?
City manager can.
I can tell you there's no plans for that, because the plans to have access or continue access of downtown, it's pedestrian, there's no driveways to those businesses. The parking lots that we talked about earlier on Elm Street and others, there's still going to be access, and that part of the design when we get to that phase is to have what do we need to do to implement. There's what's called the corridors that have done as sidewalks are being tore up.
Right.
This project or projects like this happen, that's why she's talking about 1960, because it's something to compare to. When you talk about downtown and you have stuff to do in downtown Houston, there are things that businesses are going to be affected, and there's ways to continue that access. That is the plan.
Right.
But in those instances, those people weren't almost broke from COVID like I am,
You're
like
absolutely
apparently
right.
he
Yes,
is.
ma'am.
So how long is it gonna take you guys to open up the streets to where we can get business back once you start killing it? Because we're struggling right now.
Absolutely.
All of it is struggling. And we are businesses that have been in Tomball for how many years? I've been here 36. Anybody else want to give a number? We've been here a long time. But you have no out for us. It's just like, what?
So yes, and absolutely, and believe me, we did not plan COVID or to do the project. This is the implementation of it. The best we can do is design and try to do plans to be able to do that. Like I said, there's going to still be access throughout the whole construction period.
Yeah, right through there.
I know you've been trying to, real quick, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When y'all did when you removed the parallel parking on Main Street, I know of many businesses that had to close because they lost that walk-up ability for their little boutique. So, and then you say that you've added all these parking spaces. All you did was go mark the side streets in front of people's homes as parking. That's unacceptable. You can't keep adding all these businesses and no parking. So there are 559 parking spaces, other than the parking by the railroad. Where are they? They're in front of people's homes. And then the light at Pine is useless. You've got a left turn lane at Pine, there's no protection, so you back up traffic all the way.
And we will look at that. Okay, we will not create a problem. We will solve a problem where the signalized intersections are.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I believe, we keep talking about safety. Okay. I believe you would have this money better spent on a campaign for people to stop driving and using their cell phones. It's kind of like putting on a seatbelt. It saved a lot of lives. Because 1960, I'm over there all the time. Wrecks every day. With media.
Yeah.
We haven't even practiced with
With a big Esplanade thing is what and are you encouraging jaywalking?
So the first part of the question is the parade, and Bruce is here, and I think Brandon's here, that they can talk about it. They have looked at it, and there is ways that you can have parades. Again, this is not the only place that's going to have a 4-block area of a median, so they could be shifted all on one side. We shut down both sides of traffic anyway, so then it's right there, you're going to be able to make that turn. So there's ways to do the parade still. It's not going to kill the parade. So that's the one part, and I forgot the second part. Second question?
Are you encouraging jaywalking?
Jaywalking. So go
No,
ahead.
we are not encouraging jaywalking, but we also don't have our heads in the sand. know, thank you, that it happens and we have pedestrian fatalities, you know, because it does happen. We have people all over the region, all over the region. We have pedestrians that are trying to cross the road.
Hold on.
We have pedestrians that are trying to cross the road, and we want to at least provide a safe space for them to do that if they choose to change.
Cross the road a lot, go across it to Main Street a lot. So what's that gonna look like?
Say that again?
We cross the street back and forth across Main Street all the time. What's that gonna look like?
On foot?
Yes, pedestrians cross back and forth.
Right.
Often.
And so imagine with a raised median in there, you would have 14 feet of safe curve, a 6-inch curve, and 14 feet. Right. If you cross at a signal, then that's fine. Right. Oh, yes, yes, absolutely, and enhanced crosswalks.
Okay, go ahead.
Interrupt this insurance.
Three issues, bear with me, three issues I want to bring up.
Probably the
This
same.
could hurt us all.
Kind of, I wanted to compromise for these meetings. So when I looked at the maps, the only places that you are doing, and most of my comments are for Old Town, the only places you're doing medians is our 4-block area of our 115-year-old only town in the entire TXDot study that has had these. So from Pine to Elm is where the medians have been put. The traffic studies that you have, that you quoted up there, I looked at your crash report, we pulled open records back from the Tomball police. We know how many wrecks happened in the last 5 years at Four Corners, how many have happened in Main Street, how many have happened in Old Town, and we only could get one across the tracks. But Grand Parkway opened in 2016. That became the main east-west thoroughfare. All your studies are from 2009 to 2013. And your entire redo, and I know Bobby started on it, redo those traffic studies because we are not the deadliest highway in Old Town anymore. No, So that's the first one, we do the traffic studies. The second is, these medians, as you can see, this is our 115-year-old historical area. It's the only town you got, from 290 to 45. And TXDot is not this big behemoth. They're made out of people who really want your help. They're worried about accidents. We have not had the accidents, but these medians will cause accidents. Why can't, since you are doing turn lanes from 290, and all the way down from Four Corners, and then again across the tracks, you're doing turn lanes, and you're stopping the turn lines at Pine, continue those turn lanes and put in HOPs, which are pedestrian traffic lights. They have them all over Austin, they have them all over Denton, you put many in.
Right.
We already have lights in 2 places.
Right.
So in Oak and in Elm, pedestrian traffic lights called Hawks, you go up, you push the button, the light turns red, you walk across a crosswalk to where you're going. And then the light goes back to blinking yellow, which slows the traffic coming across the tracks, slows the traffic coming down Main Street, and we're not dealing with medians that handicapped people get on, or families holding children. Okay, run! Okay, you're there. I don't care if they're 14 feet. That is not a safe situation. Pedestrian traffic lights, HOGs, 2 locations, and doing a turn lane down Main Street in the old area would solve the problem, and it would also keep our downtown businesses viable that people can be able to turn in.
Now, is this something that's already been set in stone by the city and the state, or is this
You
something?
heard at the beginning of the meeting, nothing is set in stone.
Okay.
We're here talking with you.
So in November,
We
all
want
this
you
could
to
change
understand.
dramatically, right?
I'm sorry?
In November, all this could change again with the election? I'm sorry, in May. Sorry. I meant May.
Question about if we are gonna do this, let's say, is the plan to do the alleyways first so that there is a good, safe place for the people that do shop before they ever start on Main Street?
Yes, ma'am. That is absolutely the plan.
Complete that.
That design is about, we're about 95, so we're going to go to bid for the first 100 block of Main Street on the north and south side. Improve those alleys. Yes.
Just to kind of tag on this question. So, yes or no, do Tomball citizens actually have a voice and a say in whether this goes through or not? Yes or
Okay,
no?
so, right, and that's a great question because it's been so long. And I'll tell you, in 2008, like the presentation showed, the access management plan or study was done. And then in 2015, when the city applied or sponsored the grant to go to HGAC to pay for this, to pay this project, it's to implement those portions of that plan. So the safety factors of raised medians, the other things that we tried to leverage back in 2015 when they looked at it and said like, hey, let's do the livable center piece. And so all of that was part of that application. And so when we talk about can we change that plan? I guess the answer is yes, because nothing's in stone. But as far as that money being utilized for something else, is no. Because that's what it's for. We applied the grant. At that time, when the plans were done and the studies and the grant was voted on to be approved, City Council approved the grant application for this project.
So basically, your answer is no.
So in May, when we vote, is when we can make that change.
Yeah. So is it a done deal for everyone?
Like I said, for the grant application, the whole purpose of the grant is to implement this. So if we don't do it,
What do you do?
we don't get the money.
Are the medians, okay, is that project a done deal, or do we have a voice in whether that goes through or not?
So if we don't do the medians, then we don't derive some of the safety benefits. And that would be under that.
At those spaces, can she say how many accidents there've been? Because that's what we're all concerned about. There's supposed to have been so many accidents at certain intersections, and y'all can tell us how many, but she's got the information.
We can't
She
tell
did
you
that.
that.
I post that online. Go to my website, it's online. I posted all of this stuff.
How many of y'all are business owners here on Main Street? How many of y'all enjoy the sidewalks you currently have in front of your business? You enjoy them, they're fine, nobody's falling, split their faces open, their heads open. Hang on, just answer my question. Hang on, answer my question. How many of you own businesses on Main Street that have water inside your business during flood? Just one?
Did you have water inside your business during a flood?
How many of y'all had that?
I had it this last rain.
Okay. So how many of you all have got great sewer drainage and water taps and gas into your buildings right now? All y'all do? I've heard from a bunch of you, I'm a councilman, that the water in our downtown area is poor at best.
Yes.
At best for drinking.
So we have to
Just hear me out. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a project that has its possibility.
Joe.
You have it in.
So the project was to reconstruct the 2920, do utility improvements to improve some of what we're talking about here.
What do you understand is my question?
I understand your question is, does the money go away if you don't do the project? Yes.
No. Do we have a say as citizens as
to whether this project goes through or not? Yes or no? Do we have a say? Do we have a say?
Well, remember, what project are you talking about? Because okay, that's not the only part of the project. The project, as you said, is to reconstruct all of 29.
And let me rephrase my question.
Utilities.
Do the citizens of Tomball have a say in whether the medians go through or not?
Oh. well,
In Tomball.
Yes. Well, so this is the way, because we've gone through the public hearings, the public comments to get to this point. Council has the final say.
So that means we don't get a say.
You do, you're elected. The council's elected.
You don't elect them? Is that what you're saying? Just when May comes around, the ones that we know want the medians, we try to vote them out?
That's not what I'm saying. It's that the council makes the decision.
That sounds like
Folks, please keep it down. One question at a time, so we can all hear it. Let's keep it respectful. Thank you.
There's a lot more about this than I don't know than I do know, but it kind of sounds like 4 blocks of center median is a big issue that without that, you wouldn't have nearly the controversy. That's something you might think about.
Right.
What I'm mostly interested in is, it seems like an awful lot of space, 14-inch median, 14-foot median, turning lanes, 10, 12-foot sidewalks. How much right-of-way is going to be obtained or needs to be obtained to accomplish all of that?
I don't think any.
You'll be able to do all of what you're planning to do without taking any more rights of way.
Any right-of-way in
There's
there?
no right-of-way needed.
No right-of-way needed.
In Oaktown.
And why is that, Kyle? Because the state owns the right of way up to the front of the building.
Right, our right-of-way, actually, some of the awnings on the businesses are actually in the state right-of-way. And so they're not actually supposed to be there.
So will the trees have to be removed?
Yes.
Right here. Question right here. Go ahead.
We have a question.
Using the phrase to lick signature and comparing us to 1960 in the Woodlands. We already licked signature, and that's our lamppost and our trees and the charm of Old Town Tomball. We don't want to look like the Woodlands in 1960. If that was a statement, I think we can all agree to that. Secondly, where will the traffic be diverted during all this construction? Will it be to the residential areas? Where will it go?
So for sure, during construction is painful. It's short-term pain for long-term gain. It is short-term pain for long-term gain. Hold on. We will have the lanes open. 2920 will be open to traffic at all times. Will there be some cut-through traffic during the primary construction time period? Absolutely. It's just going, I mean, that's true with any construction project you do. You have some people that want to avoid the area at one time.
You have a question? Okay, go
I
ahead.
have one more question. You just told us that city council can vote on this, or will be voting on this? Can they? Yes, no?
Yes, when we do the contracts with TXDot, the council has to approve those contracts.
Okay, it was done in downtown Tomball when there were no liquor licenses in downtown Tomball, where an elected official and one of the restaurant owners got together and went around town with clipboards and had it, I think 1,000 signatures put on. So it got put on the ballot for the public to vote on it, and the citizens signed a petition with enough signatures to get this put on the ballot for us to vote on this and not city council.
Check on that legal.
Well, if it was done before to get the
Right.
prohibition of the downtown liquor
right.
license, then it should be able to be on
There may be some legal.
I think so. There you go.
Go ahead. I can't hear.
Off of
Main Street, in a residential, are we going with, from the school
people coming down our street to avoid that traffic that we already have. So in doing so, and the new traffic that you're doing, how are you going to protect our children on our streets of the cars? Is there going to put some median down our street or some speed bumps or something that's going to protect us?
So we talked about it with PD and Chief Bird. There's missions that can happen because of different directions, and where you see some of those congestions and things, we are going to push out a lot of advertisement about 2978 is continuing to expand and grow. Medical complex is that close to opening. We're just waiting on Center Point to hook up the traffic lights. That's an east-west corridor there that can do a reliever. Holdery, the county, if you ever gone down Holdery, the county is starting to expand and widen that thoroughfare. So there's going to be alternative routes that I'm guaranteeing people going through on 2920 don't want to go through residential neighborhoods. And so if we give, they do, you're right. I mean, we all have done it. But if we, and so giving those alternate routes, it's going to be key.
Well, the thing is they've already signed the contract and they've already taken the money. That's what they put the parking in and that's what they.
What's after this and what's the timeline of some of these projects?
So the next step is for the city of Tomball to enter into a contract with us for this project, and at that time, the scope of the project will be identified in the contract, and so we'll know exactly what we intend to deliver.
When is that contract?
But one of the things I do have to mention is that the application for funding that was provided by the Policy Council, specifically, this project was specifically selected for its benefits to safety and mobility. And if that is compromised in any way, then that would be a material change in the scope of the project. This isn't a maintenance project or just a reconstruction project. And so if we aren't going to derive the mobility benefits and the safety benefits, then I guess we would need to go back and determine whether the Metropolitan Planning Organization wants to continue to fund the project.
There would probably need to be another study kind of include that, correct?
No, we've looked at the crash data. The crashes in this area are still higher than the statewide average, even if they're lower, even if the sheer numbers are lower. But again, if you compare it to the statewide average for a similar type facility, they're still above the statewide average. They still present a problem, a safety concern for this area.
And what is the
Right.
Yes, sir.
I have two parts, or two. One is, I'm trying to rationalize a statement that I've heard several times. This is not set in stone, with the statement that it is being sent out for bid, or we will have bids in, I think, by November. So, are the people bidding being asked to bid on something that isn't set on stone?
No, it's not bidding. It is not bidding.
That's the word that was used.
So we do two stages of engineering. We do what's called schematic engineering or preliminary engineering, and that's what you're seeing right here. Those are schematic documents. That's what these layouts are here. When we get through that process, we begin what's called PS&E, or plans, specifications, and estimates. And that's a big package with all the design specs and all the little design details that contractors, that we as a state put out for bid, and contractors pull that down and they develop bids and submit them in the required time. We haven't even started the PS&E package. So when I said that this project was scheduled to let in 2023, but I said may be delayed. We're not even under contract with the city to develop the engineering documents. So we haven't even done the engineering that we need.
So
it
the
for sure
statement I
is
thought I
going to
heard
be
wasn't
delayed.
really,
No,
okay.
we are nowhere near bidding this project.
The other thing I wanted to ask, and this is far-fetched, I know, but what would be the effect if the money that was being set aside for things which are apparently controversial in 2920 were instead provided as funds to this city and others to increase their police department staffing so that we could get better control of people running stoplights and causing crashes.
I would love if your gas tax dollars, both your federal and your state gas tax dollars, could be utilized to do that, but they can't. There are state laws and yes, the federal funds that are used to improve your state highways are funded through your state gas tax and your federal gas tax. That goes, your federal money goes, you pay 18 cents at the state level and 20 cents at the federal level. And that money goes up to Washington, and then it comes back down in the form of block grants to the state to select projects and implement roadway improvements. And it's earmarked and dedicated for transportation. They won't allow us to do anything else with those gas tax dollars.
Right here. Question.
You talked about, well, the meeting is you're basically going to funnel traffic down.
Speak up.
But down Pine and down Walnut, right? It's a relative district. Like, how are you going to, I guess I'm confused. Are you just going to have more construction right after this is completed? Because those are going to be widened to get people somewhere right here. This is a popular area right here. So here we got the either U-turn here, which is dangerous, which means it's useless. Or over here, you can't turn down Walnut anymore. You can't turn down Elm, so they're going to have to stop early or try to get somewhere over here to come this direction. So aren't you just going to have to widen those roads at some point because you're following traffic to those roads?
No. Yeah, but that's a valid concern that we need to.
It's part of the design process. This will all be as part of the design process. The operational components of this traffic will all be remodeled. Okay, the turning movements will be analyzed. Okay, and that's why you see that's a very long median. You got no left turn lane in Elm Street.
Would it be possible to look at it before we move forward?
The 2017-2021 crash analysis still shows this corridor above the state average. Okay, there has been improvement.
What is the state average? I mean, let's just put that number out there so we can react to it. What is it? Y'all talk about this all the time. What is it?
Do we actually have those numbers?
Do you actually have them? That's the question. It's something there. Well, what is it? What is it? Hold on. What is it? What is it?
He's going to get the numbers. We did look at the additional crash data before 99 opened up and then afterwards, but we did not consider 20 and 21 because those are outlier years, right? Real quick,
I got it.
That everybody looks forward to the other one around the first one. Come on.
Still waiting on an answer, David. Well, that's what we're going to write.
We have a question.
Everybody.
We have a question right here.
You can get everybody.
And then all that concrete in the center, the median, there's no turn lane then. And it seems like the union is big, sort of way. And then we want to take out the trees, which could possibly fit in that design, that they could have wide sidewalks and wide median. How many people are getting killed on the street?
So the question was, why do the sidewalks have to be wider? And then the other question was that the medians will be ugly with all that concrete in the center. And she asked how many people are getting killed walking along the sidewalk or across the street. And so the answer is basically The sidewalk amenities were for the businesses in the area so that we can continue to support the businesses in the area where people have a very safe, comfortable space to walk and patronize the businesses, and it becomes a destination place where people feel very comfortable because you have wide, level sidewalks throughout the downtown Tomball area. And when if you build it, they will come. And so we do hope that the medians on there, Tomball gets to decide what those medians can look like. They can be landscaped with, vegetation in the center and, flowers and everything so that the area looks signature. It looks like an area where people want to slow down and ever have stopped. The trees during construction and when you pull up the existing concrete that's there and you put back concrete that's in there, those trees are going to be disturbed. And there is a plan though to put back trees that are quality signature.
Okay. We got a question up here. Back here.
I have two questions. The first question is, how long would it take you to go do a study on safety from January to today? Because we just had German Fest, which is one of our busiest times. Did we have any pedestrian or any accidents in those areas? Right there on Main Street, right? But not on where people are crossing. We have 100,000 people come and visit. I don't think we've had any problems. Okay, we've had sip and see 2 or 3 times now where people are going on both sides of the street shopping. Did we have any problems? No. Okay, I understand that down here at 249 and 149, there are accidents a lot because people are coming off the freeway and hitting. And over here at 2978, everybody's going like crazy. But the blocks you're talking about, people stop. I stop myself and let people walk across the street. And so I don't think that's a safety issue, those blocks right there, that you want to do that in. And so I don't agree with your saying you're doing it because of safety.
But you were saying that you stop and let people cross?
Everybody stops and let people cross. We want to be a destination. I work at Tomball's Depot. We have people from Spain, we had people from Germany in town, we've had people from all over the world come visit our town. And we haven't had issues with safety in that area at all. And as far as the trees go, there's cities all over the United States who have trees in their sidewalks. And they have them all over the place. And you can use a gorilla rebarb under your sidewalk, but tree roots aren't going to mess with it.
They're going to do
and
sewer work
Ethan
too.
was here to talk with you a little bit about even if the trees had to go, new trees would be put in.
We've done this before.
But we paid to have these trees.
50 years ago. 50 years ago, we had
Hold on.
trees planted in pots.
Trying to catch everybody. Go ahead.
You didn't answer my question.
TXDot is going to do this, it's going to do reconstruction or whatever, no matter what the final plan is, whether they put the wins in or is that correct?
What was the question?
Most of us aren't hearing any of this conversation.
Right. She was asking if TXDot's going to do the reconstruction regardless if none of the other improvements happen. And I said that's not true.
Go ahead. No, what I'm asking is, the changes, I know the details are not in stone. Right. But the project itself will proceed, correct?
The project itself can proceed, yes, because it's fully funded. We have entirely the capacity to do the project. There's nothing that's limiting us from moving forward with the project.
When I first
it does, it absolutely does.
When I first moved to the area, I know Cypress Hills was not easy. area where the Cypress Hill was 2-lane, nothing road. From 290 all the way down to 2920.
Right.
And now it's, I mean, I know there's not businesses and it's mostly residential and everything like that, but the changes have been made to Cypress Hill with, I mean, and now you've got Tomball ISD, which has got that big campus and new stadium at 99. So it's, you know, I know it's not the same comparison because it's not, you know, businesses or whatever, but that's my only question was, the project is going to proceed no matter what the final details are.
The project
What's
can
your business?
proceed.
The neck?
Okay, got a question, right?
Cherry Street
Yeah, I
Antiques.
think this lady already touched on
Fight for it.
But you keep saying about this is the most dangerous corridor, but we know what sections are really dangerous, and the controversy seems to center on the medians in the 4-block area. There are obviously other alternatives that would be equally as safe and would allow pedestrians to move in a different manner. So, is the final say with council? I mean, TXDot this is a state highway, and I know you work with cities, but who has the priority over a final decision? Is it all rest with council? What about the people's voice? And what about TXDot? If you have a way that people can respond to this project, there's a phone number and an email. Right. If you heard from all the people in this community, what would TXDot do? Would they go back to council and say, we need to look at other alternatives?
We are absolutely going to go back to council and talk about that agreement. Again, where we would present the scope of services, or the scope that we'd be provided in the contract, and we would enter into a contract with the city of Tomball to deliver this project.
But she didn't ask about an agreement, she asked
Right.
about.
That agreement will give we'll have a mutual decision about how we move forward with this project. So what I'm saying is we need a mutual decision in order to move forward with this project. There is nothing that's stopping the state from being able to deliver this project to you. Like I said, money is usually the key. We need the design. The city of Tomball is providing that design. If we don't get the design, we can't do the project. Okay? To get the design, we have to have a contract with the city so that we can oversee the design work and ensure that it meets state and federal standards. So we can't move forward without design and that PS&E package that we talked about that needs to be bid. We can't move forward with that. And if something materially changed in the project, we would have to look at, are we meeting the requirements of the grant in the first place? There might be questions about whether we're actually achieving our goals.
Okay, Frank.
Two parts. When was the grant approved? Who wrote the grant? Okay. And can it be amended?
The city of Tomball wrote the grant.
Citizens do not want.
The city of Tomball wrote the grant with support from the state to do that.
Okay.
It was approved, I believe, in 2012, maybe 2015. In 2015, in the call for projects in 2015, the funding was approved. And again, that was, the project was approved based on certain improvement assumptions.
Right. But can it be amended?
Sure.
Okay, well then that answers a lot of questions. So you amend that and you take out the quarters.
Take out the money.
The funding for the medians, I'm sorry.
Why do everybody hate the medians? What's wrong with the medians?
Because they just explained how much to you.
Hold on. You're next. Go ahead.
We have the city council here today, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Can we get a show of hands on the city council so I know how to vote in May? Who on the city council? Okay, so if your hand is not up, that means you're not voting for the median?
medians?
I'm on city council and I'm up for reelection. So,
And you're voting for the medians?
and what I'm here to tell you, this meeting tonight was really to drive this conversation 100%. We have not inked a deal with, we don't have a contract, we don't have a design. You heard tonight, we don't have the engineering done. I mean, this thing is coming, could be coming like a freight train, and we want to influence this design. And we've been putting money away for years to have this money to do the design, because TXDot probably doesn't care about the width of our sidewalks. They care only, present company excluded, they care about traffic flow and safety. And we care, what's that? Y'all can't hear me? I'm rarely accused of that. Okay. So I'm going to speak up a little bit. Just backing up a little bit, we are here tonight to drive this conversation. We haven't inked a deal. For years, we've been putting money away, about $500,000 a year for multiple years. We have $3 million in the bank to influence what TXDOT's going to do. If we do nothing, I don't know. Do they come through town and do what they want to do? I don't even have a good answer myself. But what I do know is we have money. We've got EDC potentially influence, and we have you guys. And we are going to influence, and we're going to get what we want to the best of our ability. It sounds like we're still negotiating at the end of the day with TXDOT because they have some wants. Am I right about that?
Yes.
So this is not a case where we get to say, this is what we're doing and this is how it's going to be done. We're in negotiation, and you guys here today are helping us negotiate.
She asked your personal opinion on the medians, and you're not answering it.
I am going to look at all of the engineering. Hey, listen. Do y'all, look, I'm not going to sit up here and be dishonest. What I'm going to say is I'm going to be thoughtful, and I'm going to look at each and every element because we are just now getting those right now. Yes, these medians have been in there, and yes, they have some tremendous negatives. But I'm going to be thoughtful. I'm going to ask tough questions, and I'm going to listen to you guys. Y'all mean a lot. I mean, business owners here are a priority. I am worried about our downtown business owners. I mean, that's a high-level priority for me. Medians, I'm worried about medians. I'm worried about the negotiation we're going to have with TXDOT. What if they tell us you have to have them? I don't know. We're gonna approach those things. So I'm going to give up the floor. I'm going to stay. I'm not leaving, so you can come talk to me afterwards, and I'll be glad to talk more.
Right here, right here. Go ahead.
I'm really sorry. I want to try to take lighter notes if you guys don't mind. Gosh, I'm so sorry for everybody. I know everyone's getting excited about all the anchor and stuff. Can I take a lighter note? Can we come back to that cross-section by the railroad tracks? Because this, I'm so surprised this is not getting talked about enough. And I think it's
Can't hear you.
Oh, you will in a moment. Yeah, that one right there. Okay, so I live in downtown, Old Town, excuse me.
Where'd he go? Give it a second, it's popping up.
Hold on. No one can hear me talk until this comes back.
There we go.
There it is. This is a problem right here. Okay, and I don't think there's anyone in this room that could disagree with it. And so when I see a U-turn right there, I don't really think, I love everything you guys are doing. Keep going, let's go, progress. We got to do something about that intersection. There needs to be a crosswalk there, and I'm surprised it's not in this. This is really highly used for, here's the fun part, festivals, which make Tomball really cool.
Absolutely, and so again, conceptual, but you're right.
So design is the thing, right?
Yes.
So it'd be really cool to see something neat there in design, because, I mean, I live a couple blocks away. That's the most dangerous. I'm scared. I can't even I have to drive my kids across.
I agree.
So if you guys can.
Okay, and go ahead. We got this one, and then
Whoever's taking notes on that.
Business owner on Main Street, just curious about, we've got 2 years of construction we're working with for Main Street. It does look beautiful. Don't want to go through that, but it does look like it could be pretty.
Louder.
Talk to me about who is in charge of the alleys. I hear the alley construction still looks pretty too, but it looks like it's going to be started kind of up by the railroads and all of that. construction speed, are we looking at 4 years of construction in downtown Tomball? How long is that going to take to get our alleyways to look as pretty as your picture looked? Who's in charge of planting those trees? Who's in charge of decorating the medians to make them look pretty? Because we do have trees on Main Street right now, but if we want flowers around our trees, that's us. Like if we want a pool of weeds, that's us. I mean, who's going to take care of it once, say, all of it happens? Who's going to take care of making it look pretty and not just, oh, well, we gave you guys a median, you decorated. And then the alleys, how long will that take? Who's charging that? Is that Texas or is that Constable?
So the alleys is the city of Tomball. We're doing the first one. The first phase is the 100 blocks on north and south. We do those. And then really those, we're gonna learn a lot about how to stage and do other things.
How long
And then
will
with
it
funding, I'm sorry?
What's the expected, like how long will those take? Are y'all expecting them to take?
So those, for the first
half.
For the first
Because
phase?
what about all the other businesses?
Right, for the first phase, the construction period, we're allotting.
You're probably 4 to 6 weeks per hour.
Per
Probably will be done in half.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
Yes.
We have to, because we got oh, absolutely. Once we get it programmed, we have to get with all the business owners about when it's going to be tore up, what we're going to do, what kind of access you're going to need for your business. If you have access through the back, type of thing. If it's all in the front, then it's minimal impact. So there's all of those planning parts once we get that schedule set.
So, and that brings up a very good question. During construction, as I said, at least for the state, the lanes will always be open to traffic. You're going to have orange barrels. That's just the pain of construction. We work with communities to try to avoid or at least have as open as possible during construction if you have special events. For instance, I'll tell you, when we made improvements down in Galveston asked us, please don't do anything during Mardi Gras. Please have as much open as possible during Mardi Gras. There's only one water line going to the island over there. We need that water line ready and open. And so we definitely will work with the businesses in the area and the cities and our other partners to try to meet the locals' concerns, to try to keep things open during special times. So you had the festival this weekend. If you, if that's something where we need to not have contractors, we can arrange that. And
so the landscaping in the beginning, TXDot absolutely is going to put everything in. Ethan was here, you can talk a little bit more detail on
My
it.
name is Ethan Beast, and I'm the landscape architect and arborist for TXDot in this region, 6 counties. So I've already committed to, if the roadway is rebuilt, if the trees are damaged and they have to be removed, I've already committed to having a landscape contract to replace trees at the design of whatever the city wants. And that would include landscape in the medians as well. If the goal is to put landscape in the medians, I have no trouble including that in the landscape contract as well. To me, the landscape portion is an easy solution. Whatever comes out, we certainly will replace it. We go back in with irrigation systems. We have a 1-year warranty on everything that we do. After the 1-year warranty maintenance period, the city would be responsible for it, or somebody, a local entity would be responsible for it.
Councilman, go ahead.
Then I have 3 things. I wanted to address the voting on this. This started in 2009, and I know the first month I was in council, which was May of 16. May of 16 I was elected, and so the first month of June we had on the agenda talking about the 4 alternatives for the road. And at that time, there was one alternative that said take off parallel parking and it will save our trees. And then it had language according to the livable study that talked about all the things that TXDot was done. And the question, and you asked me why I have it, because I keep everything. And it says, okay, well, if we vote for this, we're voting for the medians. And this was what our consultant, CLR, did when they were doing this. It says at this time, the improvements are not currently programmed for implementation in the near future based on meetings with TXDot conducted during this investigation. And that was a June of 14 vote, and we all voted to take off the parallel parking in Tomball in order to assist our downtown area, plus make more room, and then at that time we had trees. And so we didn't have to worry about trees, and to be honest, I thought medians were gone at that time. Well, January 1 of 2015, posted, it was the plan of action on Harris County government, Galveston County, the actual dictation of what the road was going to be. And that was 6 months after that vote. To my knowledge, I don't know if that ever came before council again, did it? Did we ever discuss this January 15th posting in 2015? I don't remember other council. Y'all remember a workshop on it, discussing the medians or anything? No.
There was a master plan
So,
for it, though. Y'all had a master plan, right?
well, when we voted in June of 14, it was not ready yet.
Okay.
And it didn't get posted until January of 15. And I wish that, we would have had something to discuss, and that's really when this needed to be discussed. Because TXDot, no offense, but y'all don't like to erase. And these 4 blocks, will you at least consider other alternatives to this medians during this time, like the pedestrian crosswalk? For the gentleman who brought up the railroad, if there is a crosswalk there and a pedestrian light, that solves that problem. And the blinking red light will be seen from across the tracks to slow it down. That solves that problem. Putting another one at Oak, that solves that problem of people crossing, and we already have the other 2 lights, and there are no medians. And that's probably cheaper for y'all to build. So, will you at least consider that?
Absolutely.
Without canceling the contract.
Absolutely. As long as we, again, I just want to stress that we need to continue to do everything that promotes safety
And
and
this does
mobility.
promote safety because of traffic. The last thing I have is, yes, I'm glad we had a meeting. Yes,
I am too.
But the public comment period for this project, which is number 17085, started the 22nd of March with an open hearing. And comments are due to TXDot by the Sunday night, April 4th. So by the end of the day. Now, I can give you, I'll call out the telephone number you can call and leave a public comment. And I will also give you the email for public comment. And make your comments. TXDot will listen.
Yes.
And by federal law, they have to go through every comment. So all of you, please make the comments. That has never been brought up. The 22nd is when you get online and you have the public comments. But then the project list here, I'm going to give y'all. This is also posted on my website.
Lori, do we need to do that by?
April 4th. So let me give you, here is the 2023 transportation program for Harris County, Harris Galveston County. And I think that all the improvements that you're making on Alma, putting in a median so you can't turn right, and also taking out the curve, and 4 corners. And Alma is where our only fatality was in 10 years because of that funny little curve trying to turn left. So the improvements you're doing, the widening, putting in turn lanes all the way down Main, please continue the turn lanes in Old Town and do the 2 lights. And that will solve a lot of the issues that you're dealing with.
Yes.
All right. The telephone, I'm sorry, I'm giving you out your personal number. It's 1-855-363-2516. That is the number you call. A reporter will come on there. Tell them it's job number 17085, Tomball, between 249 to Willow.
What number is that?
What number?
And read the number again, please.
1855, it's on your public comments.
It's Greg Seals.
1-855-363-2516.
Project number?
The cell number is 17085. And then there's also an email. Is that the right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, and the
That's
email is public-comments@h-gac.com. Now, if this is just taken off of the website, this is in the research.
Right, so let me
this is
tell
not
you
right,
real
let
quick.
us know.
Let me tell you real quick what that is, and you can certainly provide your comments there. But the information that you've just been given is not a soliciting public comments very specifically for this project. It is not.
What is the right?
Okay, that Houston Galveston Area Council every 4 years has to publish a transportation improvement program, a TIP. And it is a 4-year program of projects that's going to happen over the next 4 years. This TIP is going through the public involvement. This TIP will be called the 23 to 26 Transportation Improvement Program. All of the projects in there are the projects that have been funded for this region. So they are soliciting comments on the entire plan for the 8-county region, which includes this project, because this project is federally funded and therefore it has to be included in that document. So you are more than welcome to make your comments about this particular project known to your Transportation Policy Council, which serves as the Metropolitan Planning Organization for this region. In fact, I would encourage you to go to h-gac.com and you can hit transportation or mobility, I forget which one it is, and a little drop-down menu will come down below and you can look up Transportation Improvement Program. You can see all the tips that are there, and you can look at all the projects in this area in the region that are going to happen over the next 4 years. So absolutely.
But what's the board direct number for specific this project?
So I would contact one of my council members and have them speak on your behalf.
So not directly to TXDot?
We don't actually have an official public engagement opportunity. That's what your city has done. And I'm here at the request of the city to help them, talk to you guys about this.